In this lecture, we'll solve trigonometric equations, one of the easiest LCAT question types, uh, but if you know the angle thing. These are the basic equations. When theta is 30 or 150, uh, I started from here because I know you already know the sign of 0 degrees. But let's just try to make a table. You already know the sign of 0 is 0, and you already know the sign of 90 is 1. Now, the only values you need to remember is are these three in the middle one. So the middle one is 1 over rad 2. And you can also start remembering from top to down to 0. Then you'll increase a bit from 0, which is 1 half. Then you increase more, you have square root. Then you increase even more, then you have 3 over 2. And then when you increase further, you get 1. So these 5 values define all of the sine theta, cosine theta, and ultimately tangent theta and all other trigonometric. So if you just know these 5 values, you can uh, find any angle with these sequence without calculator, and it will save you a lot of time. Now, once you know these values, just you know that if you want to continue, just follow the same pattern 0 to 30, which is 90 to 120, and 30 to 45, which means 120 to 120 plus 15, 135. And similarly, 45 to 60 would be 135 to 150, and so on and so forth. Now, what are the values? The values just repeat themselves in the reverse order. So now, once you have reached the top, which is 1, you will now start coming downward, coming back. So again, rad 3 over 2, then 1 over rad 2, and then 1 over 2, and then 0. These values repeat themselves. So on the graphical format, this is sine theta 0, then 1 half, then 1 over rad 2, then rad 3 over 2, finally 1, and then these values repeat themselves here, ultimately it reaches 0. And after that, the same values, but they just have a negative sign with them. So after 0, we have that same pattern which was on the left side, 0, 1 half, but now 1 half would be negative, so negative 1 half. After that, the same value, but negative, and so on and so forth. The interesting part is that even cosine of theta has the same pattern. It's just that it starts from 1. So just like the sine theta, the values from 90 degrees onward are the values for cos theta. So 1, then rad 3 over 2, then 1 over rad 2. It's decreasing 1 over 2, then 0. Then after 0, it will again start to increase, following the same pattern. And once you know these two values, the tangent theta is just the sine over cos. So 0 over 1, which is 0. And when you divide these two, you get 1 over x. That's how you can calculate these values without a calculator. So secant theta, cosecant theta, they are the inverse of the cos theta and sine theta respectively, and hence these values can also be calculated this way. Hence cosecant theta, which is inverse of sine theta, would be 1 over 0 infinity, 1 over 1 by 2, which is 2 rad 2, This is, how quickly you can write down the value. Just like this. Just take a recipe. Linear angle equation. So let's get rid of the 2. And now we know the sine theta is 1/2 after the first point. So 0, and then it reaches 1/2 at 30 degrees. So as we know, the theta would be 30 degrees. If the 30 degrees is not in the options, then you can just draw the both axis. Uh, 30 degrees is not an option. That means the theta is not in the first quadrant. But then it can be in the second. So just draw a base angle with respect to x-axis and find this angle, which is 150 degrees. The angle cannot be in the third and the fourth quadrant because you know from the rule all students take copy that in the third and fourth quadrant, that only the tan theta and cos theta is positive in their respective quadrants, and sine theta would be negative here. But in our case, the sine theta is positive 1/2. That means the only two possible solutions are this angle and this angle is translated to 150 degrees. If the equation also involves a square, for example, just take a square root. And now you know this value is reached before 1, which is 60 degrees. The value can also be in the second quadrant, and hence the angle would be 120. The third and fourth quadrant are not possible because sine theta is negative for those. Summary: remember the table, remember the 5 values. This. And remember all students take copy. And finally, the identities which I mentioned earlier. And you are good to ace the LUMS equation. It just requires speed, so practice a lot of questions. Go to internet, find these questions and practice them. Unless you are able to solve it very good, it's just like I did it in front of you the last